Hello and good evening. Welcome to today's edition of The Classroom. Today featuring the one and only Suave, back for his bi-weekly appearance, and the lovely O'Malley. What is up, y'all?
What's up, man?
All right. So we're going to dive right on in because this week in football was what they hoped it to be. One of the most important weeks.
Who hoped it to be? Not the Niners.
Actually.
Well, it could have ended worse, but it still didn't end as.
I will kick it off by saying this, because that will be one of the first matchups we talk about. I genuinely was upset and impressed with that game last night. Or on Saturday night, last night. But also, this season has been house money. And the reason why I say that is not because, nobody expected us to do anything. Like, we were Super Bowl contenders when the season started, when we had a healthy roster. And then we took 45 injuries over the course of 16 weeks. And still managed to come out 12-5. Like, that's not a bad season. So, and here's the one thing that I before I turn the floor over to you guys about your thoughts about the game. Here's the one thing that I liked. It was supposed to be the Niners defense that was going to be the weak spot in this game. And it turned out that despite the loss, the defense was actually the strong point, and it was the offense who faltered against a playoff caliber defense. And a lot of the talk was the vice versa going into the week. So I was actually impressed with the defense, as young as they are, and what they did. They can continue to perform like that, and Shanahan can scheme up some stuff to actually put some points on the board. They could make a run. But O'Malley, kick us off with your thoughts on that Saturday night thriller.
Well, I don't disagree with that at all. I mean, the fact that it was 10 or 13-3 was the final score. So, I mean, it really was a defensive game just in general. I mean, yes, the Seahawks put up a few more points, but it wasn't like anything to write home about.
Right. It was like 42-6 or something like that.
Right. I mean, this is one of those years that it hasn't been this way for a while, where we get down to the wire like this and a division rivalry actually makes a difference in the outcome of moving forward. That is what I take away from this game, is the fact that the enjoyment out of that, in seeing, it's nice when a division rivalry actually, when both sides of it are doing something and it means something. So that made it enjoyable to me, because we all know that I don't give two halves a shit about either one of these teams. So but it was a good game regardless. It was a good defensive game. It could have been a lot worse for the Niners. But they're still playing next week. So
they got the Eagles at home, I believe. So
yeah,
they'll stay in Levi.
So the Niners are not where I think anybody, even the delusional Delulu Niner fans, okay, I don't think that they're where they're at right now, where a lot of people thought that they would have been like, a month or two ago, right?
Yeah.
Just given everything and these aren't excuses. It is just like you basically lost your entire team. Like, right? The practice squad, the practice squad's practice squad is out there. So, I mean, I just think the fact that your team managed to even get it to the point of who's even in contention for the division, in the first place. So
teams, for sure.
Yeah. So that's what was enjoyable to me. That's what's enjoyable to me when there are teams that I don't really give a shit about it in whatever's going on. Then I want to see something that's competitive, and that's what happened. So
sure. Swab, your thoughts on the game and the impact.
I think that Sam Darnold needed this win. He didn't necessarily have the greatest game, but he was able to get the W. If you remember when he was with the Vikings, I believe they lost 2 straight to finish off their season, and they kind of parlayed into the playoffs where they were bounced out fairly quickly, even with I believe they had the bye week, if I'm not mistaken. The Niners are playing, like you said, with house money. It's rare for any team in the league to be able to overcome specifically 4 injuries total. They had a whole lot more, but for a team to lose their top 2 defenders on their defense, and their middle linebacker who literally calls plays for the defense, and their top edge rusher who really kind of sets the tone and gets pressure on the opposing team's quarterback. And then they also lost Purdy for a healthy chunk of the season. Ayuk never played, who was their bona fide number 1 after having traded Deebo Samuel. So,
well, he didn't do much where he won it either. So,
yeah. But, most teams
should have just accepted the trade. Should have just stayed 10 toes down about the trade and just got yourself traded somewhere. Like,
yeah,
why?
You could be a Steeler right now, for real, playing the opposite.
I can't wait for the 30 for 30. I'm telling you.
Yeah, I'm real curious on how his injury is progressing for him to become a free agent once I assume he'll be cut by the Niners. But back to the game, I think the Niners have showed a lot this season. They didn't. It showed all the areas in this game where they were really missing the injured players. Seattle kind of took it to them from the defensive standpoint and throttled the offense and kept it low and only allowed the 1 field goal. So if you're a Seattle fan, you're loving life. You're the number 1 seed. They didn't back into the number 1 seed or back into the playoffs. They're going in on a hot streak. The defense is playing at a very high level. And for the Niners, honestly, I say this with all respect, they're happy to even be where they are right now. To assume that they're a championship level version of this team, I can't see this team winning 4 straight games. They've got a hell of a test against the defending champs, so I'm real curious to see how it plays out next week for them. The bonus is that they are at home, so they don't have to travel to Philly, but at the same time, that's going to be a very tough game to win with the players that they're missing.
Well, I will agree with you 100% that it's going to be a tough game to win. I think the Seattle game was a lot tougher than it needed to be, being that they were down Trent Williams and Ricky Pearsall on top of the other guys that they had already lost for the season. And as we all know, Trent Williams is still a top 5 graded left tackle in the entire league. So it's not, like she said, it's not excuses. Like,
it's the reality of it this season.
Exactly. It's like, if you take my whole right arm and then tell me, why can't you right? Well, I was right-handed, man. and my
it's
whole
not
right
like
arm
you
is
had
gone.
a couple players here and a couple players there for a couple weeks here and there. Like
Yeah, no.
it was key players for chunks of time, some of them the entire season,
Done.
right? Like no, this isn't just one of those normal wear and tear injuries throughout the season that most teams have to deal with and you prepare for. This is one of those that the amount of injuries and people who are sidelined for you guys, there's no way that you should really be where you're at right now.
Just none.
So that's a
Tip a hat to
huge.
Kyle Shanahan and Robert Saleh.
Robert Saleh, I have no problem doing that too. Kyle Shanahan, but this is one because I'm one that keeps saying, well, yeah, at some point, him bringing them to the playoffs isn't going to be enough for the fans. This isn't that season. I will admit this is not that season because nobody is expecting this is one of those I hate to say it, even if he doesn't go that far, this is a coach of the year type of season to me, just because you made it this far, minus the whole team you put together at the beginning of the season to get you there. That's coaching. That's coaching.
I have said multiple times about Kyle Shanahan.
And I hate him. We know I hate him.
Should minimum be in the conversation for head coach of the year. But now I'm looking at Robert Saleh after that performance last night as defensive coordinator of the year. Not because the defense statistically ranked so high, because I don't believe they're high ranked at all in a lot of the major categories. Like they're maybe top 15. It's because all he had was young guys and guys off their couch. Like there is no real super veteran presence on this defense. And he's made them at least middle of the road.
They can do with the water boy, is what you're saying.
Pretty much, he went out and found Bobby Boucher. But he genuinely what he's done with that team. That win in LA was huge with that young defense, because I believe by that point Bosa was already out and Warner had went out early in the game. So that win in LA was huge, and it was and almost every major win that they've had has come with 1 to 3 defensive stops during the game that were critical to the team winning that game. You know what I'm saying? Giving Shanahan enough opportunities. So if we're gonna say Kyle Shanahan should be in the conversation for head coach of the year, I would say that Robert Saleh deserves to be in the conversation for defensive coach of the year as well. Because considering what he had to work with, like I said, Colin Farrell in off the street, Kair White, new to the team, has only played 3 or 4 games. They did have Alfred Collins, the high draft pick that they took, I believe, in the 2nd round. They lost Malik Williams, the guy that they took in the 1st round. Bethune has been playing awesome. I wouldn't say Fred Warner level, but he's been playing good fucking middle linebacker. And then they brought in Eddie Kendricks literally off the street. And suited him up, and he's been performing pretty decently. Diamanor Lenore has been getting beat a lot, and that's always been one of their weaknesses as cornerback. But Renardo Green has been playing well. So I'm like I said, you look at how young. I want to say out of the 11 starters, at least 9 are haven't even played out their first rookie contract. Played out their first 4 years.
That's also good signs moving forward too.
Yeah.
Young team, especially if they're still within their rookie contract, you're building longevity versus piecemealing stuff together, which has been part of the problem at some points, right? Rather than developing the younger team. We see that in basketball with LeBron all the time. Right. So this is one of those things. You've got some players that are starting to get a little bit older. So having some new younger players that are being developed it's good business all the way around. It gives you longevity into the future, and it also builds equity in players that you develop and are able to, Oakland A's them and trade them out once they become worth something.
Oh man, Swab, your thoughts on this youth and this defensive Robert team?
Some of it's good. They haven't necessarily built up the draft capital with some of the moves they made in previous seasons, but from a talent evaluation standpoint, they are hitting on the picks that they have taken. They are pulling in guys off the street. One caveat about Clinton Farrell, he had already kind of played in the system, so they didn't really technically pull him purely off the street. He had already had familiarity in the system, so he knew what to do when he came in. Plus, he is a former top 3 or 4 pick. I forget where the Raiders wasted that draft pick to draft him at, but um, you know,
I mean, that can be
they
pretty much said for any of their draft picks. So.
yeah.
Uh,
They do have a lot to look forward to going forward over the next couple of years as those contracts expire and they go the route of uh what's that guy's name? Mufunga, the safety that left to the Broncos. And I believe there was somebody else, Greenlaw. Didn't Greenlaw leave for money?
Yes, he did.
So they're on the
No,
verge of that
Greenlaw
happening.
left because his dad said he was going to be the Pippen of the 49ers defense. And the thing that sucks is if he had stayed, he'd have been the Michael Jordan.
He'd have been the Jordan.
He'd have been Jordan because Warner was out all year. So
Yeah, but that's a double-edged sword because I don't think even if he signs a 1 year to try a prove it deal, he was going to want top tier money, and with the way that the Niners are at, you can't really afford to pay anybody but Warner out of that linebacking core top tier money. So I think that was a good move, just like they let Mufunga go. So I think they're set up really well. It's going to all depend on who they can keep on the cheap while they continue to have the good depth behind them. Next year they should be remarkably better once Bosa and Warner are back, and we figure out what's going to happen with Ayuk. My assumption is they cut him and cut bait. There's not really any trade value there because you haven't seen him play. So that ship has sailed. But for the next year and the year after, they're looking like they'll still continue to be a solid team, and that's a boon for the GM and Shanahan.
Like I said, there's a lot of GMs and head coaches out there that would literally put a knife in somebody's back for the run that Shanahan and Lynch has had, even with the Super Bowl losses. I'm pretty sure that guy over there in Cleveland, maybe Tennessee. But anyway, all right. So speaking of teams that were once bad that are now getting better. The Buccaneers actually beat the Panthers on Saturday, but the Panthers still clinched the NFC South title after the Falcons beat the Saints on Sunday via three-way tiebreaker that eliminated the Buccaneers. How do you play a win and get in game, and then it turns into a not win and get in when the team below you wins their game?
Because it wasn't really
like getting fired on your day off.
It wasn't really a win to get in. Yeah, it was more like win and pray. That's the one thing that I do appreciate about NFL football.
C plus X plus Z equals get in, and they missed out the Z and the X. So
they missed out on
Yeah, I mean, when you really look at it, Tampa Bay had everything they needed. That they did lose Mike Evans throughout the season for a couple of times, but as a whole, they didn't really have a ton of injuries and issues. They should have had another win or two, but it was real tough for them to kind of scrap those wins together, and they lost some games they really had no business losing. And here they sit going home for the playoffs because they couldn't eke out one more win during the season.
And this wouldn't this have been Tampa Bay's like 5th consecutive NFC North title?
They had a strong run, but that's what happens when you tie at the top and all those crazy tiebreakers, and you got to rely on other teams to do their jobs. And honestly, I didn't think the Falcons could necessarily win, even though I do like Kirk Cousins. I didn't think they might win that game. I think the Saints are playing for their jobs. They might pull it out, but Falcons looked halfway decent with Cousins back there and kind of thrashed them. So that's the kind of things that happen when you allow other factors in. It's just like when they tell you, don't let the refs weigh in or become a factor in the game. You hold it in your hands. Tampa Bay had the same thing. Literally one more win on the season and they've gone to the playoffs. That's the rub. And that's, the beauty of football.
I agree 100%. From Carolina's standpoint, first time they've been in the playoffs since 2022. So I was reading some things about the last couple of times that the Carolina Panthers have made the Super Bowl and the events, the pop culture events that happened with them, and it had me definitely dying. There's a J-Lo divorce before every
Ohio
Panthers
State
appearance.
win. Yep, an Ohio State win. J-Lo getting divorced, and then and then the Panthers starting their season playing the Jaguars. Those three things have happened twice before. Panthers have found themselves in the Super Bowl that same year, and
Except for
this
Ohio State did not win.
last year. It was
Oh,
the
okay.
year previous leading into the
Okay.
season.
Okay. I was gonna say because Ohio State did
they sent it
not
home.
win.
Oh yeah, we'll get to that when we get to the other subjects because, buddy, and Mendoza, boy. Let's see.
What could have been a cow. That's all I'm saying.
You know, here we go. And then next up we have the Bears will secure the number 2 seed with the win today. And I believe they did because the Eagles will be placing the 49ers, who are the 6th seed. So the Bears must have won their game, securing the NFC's 2 seed. Is this Bears team, after that loss to San Francisco 2 weeks ago, does this Bears team, despite the win today in the 2 seed, still look like a true Super Bowl contender, or are they fool's gold? So I'm going to kick us off.
We've had this argument before. I will say they're a low-end fringe Super Bowl contender because, in my opinion, every team that makes the playoffs has a chance to get to the Super Bowl. They're on the lower end. I don't think that they're there yet. Another year or two of seasoning and adding more pieces for Ben Johnson and Caleb Williams, because I'll be honest, I didn't see this kind of year coming from Caleb Williams, even with Ben Johnson and his track record in Detroit. But they proved me wrong. They squished all my doubts. I just don't feel that they're ready for the crunch time minutes when the games get tight, and the playoffs are always a different beast. And this is their first time getting a taste of the playoffs with most of the people on this whole roster. So, they're really going to have to rely on Ben Johnson. I'm not sure he'll have enough to have a strong run in this playoffs. I can see them winning a game, maybe even 2. I don't see them really being championship level. I still think they're a year or 2 away. But they've had a great season, and it wouldn't surprise me to watch them win 4 straight, because I do believe in Ben Johnson and what he had the Detroit Lions doing and what he was able to do this year with what he had.
Yeah. O'Malley, your thoughts on this Bears?
Okay, so I did expect this out of Caleb this year, by the way. Just gonna have to say, USC fight on. Just because, well, also knowing him in the season he had last year, I think that brought a chip in this season, especially given how him and Jaden Daniels ended last year, right? And that actually leads me into what I think of the Chicago Bears right now. Is I think that they're the Commanders of last season. I can see them making it all the way up to the point that the Commanders made it last season, and that being it. I think this may be their year for that. I don't see them really is going all of the way, but I could see them getting to that point. But absolutely, Caleb came into this season with something to prove. I think he really felt some type of way after last season, just because, that's the competitive nature, and he was the number 1 pick, and the number 2 pick is the one that took his team to, the NFC Championship game. So I think there was a level of that. And the more they put more tools around him, the better they get going into the future. I just don't think that they're quite there yet, but it's been interesting to see them this season. They did build a little better around him. They took the draft as an opportunity to do that, and they made some good moves in the offseason. So I think there's still a couple other pieces to put into place, but they're definitely contenders in the future for sure, I think.
All right, hold on. I'm a little bit confused because I'm looking at the scores right now, and it's saying that was it Philly lost or Chicago lost? So I'm wondering how they ended up with the 2 seed over Philly.
Did Philly lose too?
Oh, that's what I'm checking right now. Hold on. Yes, they lost to the Commanders. Okay, they both lost. Okay, so that's how that happened. Because I was like, I thought Chicago needed to win to get the 2 seed. I didn't realize.
Good old tiebreakers.
So the Eagles now have I'm going to say this about the Bears. I'm not going to say I'm not a USC or Caleb Williams fan, so I didn't see this coming. But I will say this. I see the Bears like the 49ers right now when it comes to these players. I think if the 49ers catch a break here or there, they could find themselves in the conference championship, potentially in the Super Bowl. I think if the Bears catch a break here or there, and that defense does like to cause turnovers and does like to score. So that defense could ride that defense to a Super Bowl. Will they? I can't. I wouldn't bet my house on it. I definitely wouldn't bet my house on it. But could I see? Would I be surprised if it happened? Would I be like, oh my God, what's Cinderella? Nah. They are a 2 seed. So if they do make a run, they should have decent chances. But I don't really see it happening. There are more battle tested teams that will get that. But the other squad that we're going to talk about real quick is the Eagles, who are in that number 3 spot. They face off against the 49ers in Levi. Or is it? No, it's got to be. If 49ers are the 6th seed, then that means it's got to be in Philly. Lower seed is always home.
Yeah.
So it won't be in Levi. So they will have to travel. But like I said, hopefully they'll get Trent Williams and Ricky Pearsall back in the offense will give the defense a chance to rest. And they can perform better against a very high-octane Philly defense with Jalen Hurts and Saquon Barkley, who both sat today. What do you think this? How deep do you think this Eagles team can go? They are the defending champs. They do have a pretty decent. They're pretty much the same squad from last year, minus like 1 or 2 pieces. O'Malley, kick us off with your thoughts on what you think these Eagles can do this year. Can they rebeat?
I think that depends on whether or not they turn back into like the Philly like postseason team that they are. If they flip the switch and turn into that team, I mean they've got the veteran experience when it comes to that. So if they can do what we see teams do all the time, which is turn into a different team once it becomes the postseason, and if they can do that, I mean, because of the fact that they've done it before, then yes, there is the possibility of doing it. I feel like this year, even with the usual suspects that are still, front and center, I feel like there is no clear-cut answer to who we're going to see in the Super Bowl, where we've had years past where we're like, this team and this team for sure. Like these are the teams to beat to get there. Like, I think any of the teams really that make it into the playoffs at this point, with the exception of ones that maybe get in low key by accident, it could go anyway for these teams.
Very true. Swab, your thoughts?
I think they are Super Bowl contenders. They have all the pieces necessary. They're relatively healthy. I do think they do have some things missing, specifically Kelsey on the offensive line. I think they're definitely been missing him this season, even though the guy that took his spot has been playing okay. He's not Kelsey. Kelsey was an all-pro level offensive lineman. You got Saquon, AJ Brown. The defense has a ton of youth on it and really good youth on top of that all got championship experience last year. So to me, even though you had teams above them overachieve record wise and get higher seeds, I still believe the Eagles are one of the teams to beat to get to the Super Bowl. I believe that they have everything that plays in their favor. They can rely on the run game. Jalen Hurts has had an okay season, but he can still break you down with his legs. He still has weapons on the outside all around. The offensive line did take a hit, but the defense is still top notch. I definitely think that once they're in, they can make a run. It's going to be real interesting, but I do like O'Malley's point. The field on both sides of the conferences seems to be wide open outside of the lowest seeds. But even then, when you think about the lowest seeds this year, it's different. You've got an injured Niners team that have played with house money as the 6th seed. You've got the Eagles as the 5 seed. And I'll be honest, both of those teams are
3 seed.
legitimate
Eagles are
Super
the
Bowl
3 seed.
contenders. So I mean, are the top seeds fool's gold? No, they've had great seasons. You got to give them their respect. The Seahawks got a bye week. They get to kind of sit back and relax and wait to see who they'll face. You got the
Yep.
Bears, who I believe are still a year or two away, but could make some noise. I love Ben Johnson and everything he did in Detroit, helping resurrect that program, that franchise. So I mean, I think the Eagles are still a top team. I still think, you've got to beat the champs before you can say they don't have a chance. And it's the same thing that went for the Chiefs. The Chiefs get in next year with after all the injuries and retooling they'll do this offseason. They're still not that far off, and you got to give them the benefit of the doubt. So I think Philly definitely has that shot.
For sure. All right, and then the last subject that we'll talk about when it comes to the playoffs for right now is the AFC playoff picture, which was clinched as the Broncos did clinch number 1 seed and home field advantage throughout the playoffs. As former Raiders fans, how does it feel seeing the Broncos back on top of the AFC, right alongside the effing Patriots at 14-3?
I'll be honest. Since I'm no longer a Raiders fan, I don't give a shit. I mean, I like the coach for the Broncos. I've always had a soft spot
Sean
for him.
Payton.
Yeah, I like Sean Payton. Bo Nix came out of nowhere. I was like, oh, they overdrafted that kid. It's not going to work. He's going to flop. Proved me wrong. The kid looks really good in that system. He really chose a guy that he really liked. Went up. I'm not sure. I can't remember. I think they traded up to get him, if I'm not mistaken. But he got his guy that he really loved, and that's one of the things you need as a franchise is to have a quarterback who is beloved by the head coach and does everything that player
we know
needs to
that Russell
succeed.
Wilson was not. So
Yeah, exactly. And then as far as the Patriots, I think Mike Vrabel is going to run away, even though Shanahan overcame more. In essence, I do believe that Vrabel is the front runner for head coach of the year, seeming how this was not necessarily a playoff team ever since Mac Jones was the quarterback there. So for them to end up winning what they win, 14 games this year, 13 games. So for them to have done this kind of season, I mean, I like Mike Vrabel, and I can't be mad at either of them. Yeah. What do I feel like the Patriots should have had 10 years of disaster? Sure. As a former Raiders fan, yeah, just like when the Spurs finally folded and started having those 12 and 15 win seasons. Yeah, you deserved it. But now, they got a head coach I like. I wasn't a fan of Drake May. He's changed my mind. He looks like the real deal. They've made a lot of moves in the right direction. So I can not necessarily like either team and appreciate where they've come and where they're going.
Fair enough. O'Malley, your thoughts?
Well, I mean, I agree with everything that he said. And also I will just add on top of that, I mean, the Patriots and the Broncos being where they're at this season, I don't believe was on anybody's 2025 bingo card.
Nope.
So,
Nope.
I mean, for all of those reasons. And so, yeah, I mean, for what they've done, I still fucking hate the Patriots. I still hate the Broncos, whatever. But it was only a matter of time before the Broncos got back to the top. I mean, it's going to cycle back and forth between the Broncos and the Chiefs ever before it gets to the Chargers. And then very last, at some point, maybe in 50 years, back to the Raiders. I don't know. Once Mark Davis is dead and the curse is gone, maybe then. I don't know, because I'm sure they'll still figure out how to fuck up their number 1 draft pick.
Well, I'm glad you brought that up, because that's going to be our final subject for football, is that the Raiders did, despite winning their final game of the season, they did secure
almost stepped on their own feet again. How many years did they need to lose that game and try to lose the game only to win it?
Yeah.
And here's the thing about it. Dallas Cowboys fans,
I mean,
I was-
I mean, how do you suck at losing when you were that like epic of losers and you still suck at losing? That is just beyond me.
I just wanted to mention this one last thing too before we get into that Raiders #1 draft pick. The only team that really could have taken the #1 draft pick from the Raiders was the New York Giants, and I'm telling you right now, they're going to probably be the #2 pick. And if they go out and get themselves a generational offensive lineman, that team is going to be dangerous for like the next 10 years. Jackson Dart is for real. Cam Scatterbo is for real. And if they can piece together an offensive line to play in front of them, they have Malik Neighbors. They have Sterling Shepard. Still, he's not that old. You know what I'm saying? They have a decent tight end. That Giants team is going to be dangerous, and they showed that this week. That way. And now, don't get me wrong. I'm tempering my expectations, being it was the Cowboys that they beat. But and trust me, it warmed my heart after losing to Seattle on watching them get beat down by the Giants. It warmed my heart.
Their first round draft pick is going to do much more for them than even a #1 draft pick will do for the Raiders. That's just where it is right now.
They're already,
especially given it sounds like there might finally be trouble in paradise with Max Crosby. So, he is not liking the way that things are being run, and I don't freaking blame him. And Amy Trask called it out a while back. It's a fucking cultural thing that goes back. It's the leadership, and we're talking about the front office and Mark fucking Davis. They are the reason why this team is in the shitty, fucked up situation that they are in. So, until he sells the team or drops dead, this is where they're at. Kind of like, the president.
Swab, your thoughts?
I'll be honest, Mark Davis has done an incredible job of finding the right head coach and firing him way too soon without realizing that the team was going to be garbage for a few years before that head coach that you chose correctly was going to be able to turn the ship around. It goes all the way back to Hugh Jackson. Hugh Jackson finally got Carson Palmer back up and running. It looked like we were going to start doing some things. They fire him. Years of suck fest. You finally go out there and you bite the bullet and you pay Gruden $100 million, and the NFL screwed Gruden out of staying the Raiders head coach. But still, they cut ties.
He should never have made that move he should never have made that move in the first place either. That was a fuck you, Dad.
I appreciated the moves that Gruden did. It looked like things were
and
starting to go in the right direction. He believed in Carr, which was a huge thing that needed to happen. They let go of Mac, which I didn't really like in the beginning, but I understood going forward.
Until he ended up in San Diego.
Yeah. I mean, but that's typically how free agents are going to come back and stick it to you when you don't cash them up. That's usually how it goes. Especially when they're top tier. I think Michael's one of the top 3 defensive ends during his heyday. But the Raiders just can't help it. I did like the pick of Pete Carroll. I think he shot himself in the foot by hiring Chip Kelly as his offensive coordinator, and I still have no idea how Chip Kelly continues to get NFL work for what he's done and the game.
Now he's the old coordinator somewhere. Like he just got hired on in a college. I want to say.
Yeah, that's where he deserves to be and should have been 5 years ago.
Well,
for him
he was at Ohio State before he went to the Raiders. He was like
he should have stayed there.
Yes,
he
exactly.
is at Northwestern. He is the offensive coordinator. He's the American football coach. He's the offensive coordinator for Northwestern.
Excellent. Another team I hate. So it's good that he's there, but he did a lot of things that weren't good for the Raiders. They need to. I know this season stunk. There's no getting around it. All the veterans and the high money talent have to be upset with how things happened. You're sitting with the #1 pick right now. You have to keep the ship going. I know he's like 75 years old and he's not getting any younger, but Pete Carroll needs to stay the head coach for the next 2, 3, 4, 5 years until the thing is righted. You can't keep getting good coaches, and Pete Carroll's a good coach. There's no getting around that. He's a good coach. He's won at every level. He's won in different scenarios with different programs. You got to give him his flowers. He is a good head coach, but he needs time to build this roster up and get it to the level that he wants to see it and envisions it going. If Mark Davis fires Pete Carroll, you can wipe it. He will ruin Mendoza. Whoever comes in, he'll get the flashy name, but I just don't feel they'll be given a ripe opportunity to actually do what, say, a Ben Johnson's getting done over in Chicago. There's a lot of other good young coaches out there that are doing what they should have done with the talent they have on hand, but the teams stay the course. Raiders don't. They end up getting antsy because they feel their seasons weren't as good as they felt they should have been, or for how much they're paying for those rosters. And a part of me understands that. But I also understand, to build culture, especially in the NFL, you have to have continuity. You have to have a head coach has to have 4 to 5 solid seasons of actually being the head coach with no bickering, no infighting, no ownership getting in on you and pulling the old Al Davis or the Jerry Jones and getting all up in your cereal or pissing in your Wheaties or whatever you want to call it. Just let the coach, let the GM, and let's move this thing forward.
Yeah, very much so. Very well said. I don't think there's
But watch
anything
Mark Davis fuck this up.
Oh yeah. So all right. Also, congratulations as we close out to the Jacksonville Jaguars. They secured the AFC North title or AFC South title today. First title since, I believe, like I said, 2022. Trevor Lawrence set the all-time record for touchdowns in a season by a quarterback for the whatchamacallit previously held by Blake Bortles. He's having kind of a renaissance out there.
Blake Bortles.
Bortles!
Hey, that dude living off $60 million for stinking for freaking 4 years. That dude's a legend. That's all. I seen him on a podcast, and he was like, "Yeah, y'all can hate me. I got $60 million in the bank, and I ain't never got to work a day in my life." I was like, "Well, Blake, good
and
for
now
you,
they've
soldier."
got like a YouTube channel with him and his wife and their animals and their RV or whatever, and he's enjoying life without all of the health problems. So
Yep.
Hey, you cannot blame the dude.
Yep.
I went to the playoffs once. I was the guy 1 year out of like 6 that I played. Like,
when I went to the NFL, I was hot trash. I got paid well. I'm done. Game over.
All right. So on that note, we will leave the NFLB and come back and talk a little NBA and then some college football playoff, which has been going pretty damn well, if I do say so myself.
Only one SEC team left, and they barely count as an SEC team.
Yep.
We'll get to that a little bit later. You're watching The Classroom right here on the First GenXers Broadcast Network, Twitch, YouTube, wherever you're catching this. I'm Dark Double K. That's Suave. That's O'Malley. We'll see you guys on the flip side. Peace.
We back at it. Yep, we still doing it. Poetic beat. First GenXers. Gia. Let's get it, y'all. Come on. We back in the building. It's been a long time cooking in the soup kitchen. And I'm chilling with the saint. Dropping these beats won't stop, nope, I can't. Let me get up in the lab, turn it up. Game on with the first GenXers. What's up? Let's flip on the Switch or the Xbox and get up in my zone, I'm clowning. Let me clear my throat for a minute. Shout out to my folks while I'm in it. It ain't nothing but love, it's babe business. I really don't know what's so who ain't feeling this. And this is only the beginning. Now versus then, this is something for the chillin'. Poetic got the joints like McDonald's. I'm loving it. It's the first GenXers. We're now rocking with Poetic Beats. This is the first GenXers production. Get your PlayStations out. Get your Xbox out. Get your Switch out. Let's get it in, y'all. Holla back.
Come a chameleon. got to keep it. Keep it. You got to keep it love. Success comes right after the struggle. I ain't even giving up on whatever I wanted. The tragedies I've seen, I can't even stomach. Most of y'all weak as shit and would've started running. Every time I make it back to the crib, I'm thankful the Most High let me see all of it. Grateful I'm lovely, and I've been real with this. Please don't judge me. I'ma stay on my shit. I'ma keep it.
You getting on my nerves. You getting on my nerves. Gang, gang, bitch. You getting on my nerves. Gang, gang, bitch. You getting on my nerves. Get your titty, get your titty, get your titty on. Gang, gang, bitch. Get your titty, get your titty, get your titty on. I said what I said. No, please don't tell on me. No, please don't tell the police. Gang, gang, you getting on my nerves. She getting on my nerves.
We are not back. I was too busy setting up everything else. I did not hear myself talk.
Over here throwing up gang signs and doing yard sign language to.
We can't hear you. Why do people scream at deaf people? I've never understood that. That's not even like really a comedy bit. I've seen it all my life. Like they're deaf, they can't hear anything. So yelling is not helping the situation. It's just
they're gonna feel these vibrations.
All right. So let's see. NBA Week 11 happened this week. Okay. Had a few stories here that kind of were a part of this week. With injuries galore, the MVP rankings are being shook up. Biggest news of the week was the hyperextension of Nikola Jokic, which is expected to sideline for at least a month. This injury immediately made Shai Gilgeous-Alexander the overwhelming MVP frontrunner. Victor Wemby also sustained a minor knee injury, but was not expected to miss significant time. So it looked like Jokic was on his way, potentially, especially after that, 56, 20, and 15 game he had a couple of weeks back. Like he was definitely going to challenge, if not stave off Shai if he continued to perform like that for the rest of this season. With Jokic now hurt for a month, Is Shy the Shy Gilgeous-Alexander the outright front runner and all automatic winner of the MVP award? Swab, kick us off.
Pretty much. I mean, they're on pace to win 60 plus games. Looked like they were going to challenge the record early on, but they've tapered off just a little bit. Hell, Detroit almost has as good a record as they do. But they're still the top team in the West. They're still playing, as defending champs with Jokic out for a solid month and Wimby in and out of the lineup. It's his race to lose. I don't want to put any bad juju out there, as injuries seem to be going around. But the team, OKC as a whole, is healthy. So it's his to lose at this point in time. I don't see anybody on that roster taking the 1B role in scoring to push their name into the better chips. So it's really SGA's to lose. I don't really see anybody else with an opportunity to steal it from them, like how Westbrook stole an MVP from a couple of players when he had the triple doubles. I'm not seeing that around the league right now. So with Jokic going down, who I thought had taken the lead on that race, but now that since he's tripped and fell down, SGA just gonna walk right past him.
There you go. O'Malley, your thoughts?
I don't disagree. I think in order to change that, there would have to be some significant something that happens, for the rest of the season. But he could play just what he's doing right now and easily walk away with it unless somebody else crazily steps up and does something ridiculous, which is not unheard of.
Yeah.
Kate Cunningham and the Pistons, it's possible.
A lot of season still left. So, I mean, it really, but right now, I agree with everything that Swab said. It's SGA's to lose at this point, right? It's not his to win, it's his to lose.
Right.
Yeah.
No. All right. And so the next kind of big story out of the NBA is the Knicks and the Pistons are vying for East supremacy, with the Knicks sitting at 23-12 and the Pistons sitting 3 games ahead of them at 26-9. The youthful core over there in Detroit taking on that grizzled veteran team in New York. Who do you think, with Boston and Indiana kind of out of the way, even though Boston is actually making some noise, they're the 3 seed without Jason Tatum. But between the Knicks and the Pistons, who do you think is more likely to reach the NBA Finals or potentially even win an NBA championship? O'Malley, kick us off.
But sorry, we know I have ADHD, and I kind of just.
Oh, that was great.
Wow, no, I get you. I've been there before. Yeah, all right, yeah.
I think all I heard in that whole thing was Pistons. So I don't even. And don't make me lie. Normally, I would try to bullshit my way through this and hide whatever. Right. But this is go to Suave because I didn't know.
All right, Suave. Question to you, bro. Who do you think between these 2 teams has a better chance of reaching the NBA Finals?
I think it's the Knicks due to their experience. I think the Pistons are a year or 2 away. They're making the stepping stones that we've seen previous young teams do. Last year, get to the playoffs, make a little bit of noise, get bounced. This year, I expect them to get a step further. Maybe they're able to maintain the 1 or 2 seed and they end up in the conference title game. I expect them to lose that series before really, taking that next jump, because even if they were to get to the finals, I don't see that Pistons teams being ready for crunch time. It's the same thing that happened to Boston the first time they got there and they faced a Warriors team that had been there multiple times and were able to use that to their advantage and take out that team. So I think it's the Knicks. I think it's their time. I think that everything is going the right way. I'm a believer in Jalen Brunson. I really like that kid. I like how he left Dallas kind of hanging, didn't even give them a chance to match the offer. He said, "Hey, I'm going to Detroit. That's where I'm going to New York. That's where I want to go. I want you to do." And this is what I really appreciate. He goes there and says, "Hey, I like playing with the guys I played with in college. Bring them all in. We've never really seen that before at any point to have, I believe at one point they had 5 players from that Villanova team, maybe
Their
four for sure.
commercials last year though were hilarious about that.
Yeah. I mean,
when,
and
when they
really,
were separated again
When
in
Dante went to
yep,
Minnesota,
yep.
DiVincenzo meeting in the that was hilarious. But
that was
that's
great.
what I miss about the Knicks team. I love the season when those three really kind of came together and came back and played together.
I
So
want to say they almost made the East Conference Finals. I want to say they at least made it to the second round.
yeah, they did.
Oh, I'll say now, looking at that, I'll say that Detroit team, they kind of remind me, or they kind of remind me of that Warriors team, not the 2015 team, but the 2014 team. That was almost there. They just kind of needed like one more push at the ball. And so I can see Detroit, like Steve Schwab said, I could see them making the finals. Indiana did it last year when people really didn't have them doing that with the monsters that were in the East. But I don't necessarily think they would be ready to face like a battle-tested team like Oklahoma City, who just has enough depth, just about any team in the NBA, and more draft picks to fill in more depth later on. But all right, so the next thing that we're talking about is another young up-and-coming team that Suave has his rant about that he went on last time we were on here. But the San Antonio Spurs have managed to put together a good grouping of young talent and mixture of talent, which let me make a comment as well. I want to say this during the football segment as well. I don't think there's ever been a single championship team that I've ever seen that didn't have a good mixture of young players and older players and veteran players. Almost every championship team does. Go back through any Super Bowl, any NBA championship, you'll very rarely ever find a team that's completely young and wins the championship or that's completely old and wins the championship. It's normally
only in college.
Yep. The Spurs have had a good mixture, but they've beaten Oklahoma City 3 times this year. Are the Spurs true contenders, or is this just regular season jibber-jabber?
I think they're true contenders. I think for all of the reasons really that you just stated, a good mix of young and old, seasoned, ones that have some that have experience and more experience than others. The way that they've managed to come together and be playing the way that they have, and even with some injuries that they've had and still be where they're at right now, I actually think that they're the real deal. I think that a good team has been put together, and I mean, in some nostalgic ways, I feel like they also have something that they're playing for. You know, this is San Antonio's first full season and legitimate season without Popovich, and you know, this is an important season. And so I actually like to see what they're doing over there. And I like to see that San Antonio is back in the mix of being the San Antonio team that we see them be, that they haven't really been for a while.
For sure.
So they're definitely contenders. Wemby is the X factor. If he's able to play, they have an opportunity and have shown an ability to beat the best team in the NBA, the defending champs, on multiple games. Now, in a series, it's definitely different. They haven't been battle tested like that yet. A 7-game series changes the dynamic because they beat OKC and have beat them 3 times, but it wasn't back to back to back, which is really the difference where adjustments can truly be made. And those incremental little moments can come up and really kind of bite you. But for the team that doesn't necessarily deserve to be here, yeah, the Spurs are definitely contenders with Wemby.
Sure. I would
they didn't
agree
fucking deserve them.
I agree with both of you that definitely the Spurs have built themselves a contender. That kid Stephen Castle is legit. They do have De'Aaron Fox over there. A lot of people forget that Sacramento traded him there, and they have youth alongside Wemby, who is just big. Like it's the truth. Like I said this last episode to Swab. Like, no offense to Wemby, the man can play basketball. The man is skilled at the game of basketball, but like 60% of why he is good is just because of how goddamn tall he is.
Yeah, but
He can
I
get from
give
basket
him,
to basket in 5 steps. That's the craziest thing I've ever seen.
but something that he has that we often do not see in the guys that tall is really good body awareness.
Yes.
Usually when the guys are that tall, their body awareness
Clunky.
is fucking ridiculous.
Like
But
Shaq.
he moves like a small dude. Like
Yeah.
he is coordinated. He doesn't look awkward when he's out there. He doesn't look like a baby giraffe that's learning how to walk. Like,
He looks like
and
a
that's
fucking
huge,
gazelle.
that's a huge difference because he's
No, it
not
isn't.
just tall, right? A lot
And
of the
he
other
developed that
guys.
3-point shot. I think that was huge.
Yep. Yeah.
Well, I
So-
can say this: 90% of
different.
his blocks came because he was tall. Because if he was like 6'1", he wouldn't be able to make like 70% of those blocks. But
yeah,
all
but
right.
that still takes body awareness and where to be with all of your lanky ass parts right at the right
Sean
time.
Bradley definitely lacked that because Sean Bradley was the last guy that had the potential to be like a winner.
Timing is a huge part of that.
And not
All right,
going to the
so-
AmeriCorps and wasting your talent for 2 years. That helps too.
Yes.
There you go.
All right, so last NBA subject before we get on to this college football playoffs. Draymond Green, who literally has been ejected in the past 2 games that he has played in. He has only played in 2 of the last 3 games. They I believe him, Steph, and who else?
Butler.
And Butler took the Thunder game off, which kind of accounted for the blowout, but I think it was just the old guys didn't feel like dealing with that Butler right now. They're like, we'll deal with y'all in the playoffs if we make it. Because they bounced back, they came back and played. And they played well against the Jazz. But Draymond Green is ejected in the game against the Jazz and the game before the Thunder game. And the last time we saw this Draymond, this Draymond, they did make it to the finals day. But can this team survive that Draymond? So I'll kick us off with your thoughts.
There's too much history there to say that they can't. I believe he does everything that they need, including bringing that type of fire and energy. I do wish he would tone it down in a sense, but you can't tone down Draymond. Dre is going to be Dre. That's all you can really say. So expect the technicals, the ejections. We just hope that when it comes to the playoff time, he is not so close to getting tech suspensions that it hurts the team. But he definitely runs the fine line for this team, and he is still the beating heart of everything they're trying to do when they're actually playing all their starters.
Alan, your thoughts?
Do it now. Get it out of the way now. Get the technical freaking ejections and suspensions and all of that shit out of the way now so that we aren't left where we've been in the years past where we end up losing him at some point during the playoffs. I mean, but that still goes back to revisiting the fact that I believe everything should reset once the playoffs and even then the finals start. I feel like that should be different than what the regular season was. I don't feel that those teams should be penalized that way. That should be, okay, reset. This is a new thing. We're not holding regular season shit shouldn't go into postseason stuff. Right. It just doesn't make sense.
You have 12 techs going. If you have 12 techs, then what you can do with that system is you can lower the threshold. You can say, okay, if you get 12 techs throughout a season, or 12 ejections, or 12 checks total throughout the season, 6 ejections if you count it by games. 12 checks total throughout the season, you get a 1-game suspension, et cetera, and it can go up from there. But then once you reach the playoffs, you only get 6 techs. You know what I'm saying? You get 6 techs to a suspension, but you get a clean slate. You start from 0 no matter how many you had during the regular season. And then, like she said, again, with the NBA playoffs, it resets again. And then you can lower that number to 3 techs during the 7-game series, and you suffer a suspension and just do it like that. But I do agree that I will say this. Draymond, look, bro, these things hit a lot softer when the team is winning. But when the team is struggling to win without you at times, these things become a lot more detrimental to the long-term goals of the team.
Get some therapy.
And that's what I don't want them. Yeah,
Get
some
some
therapy.
therapy. My caseload is currently closed, but I will open it just for you. Get some therapy, bro. I will help you work through these issues. Like, we can process this. Distress tolerance, I got you some coping skills. Emotion regulation, like, I got you, bro. Like, we need to get you some coping skills to manage this.
Oh, man. All right. So now we're going to move on to what I call top other sports stories. Now, guys, I have to we have to talk about this because we did not get a chance to cover it last week. But the college football playoffs this year has been amazing. It's really been it really has been one of those things where this one was worth watching. And this one is the reason why we went to why we went to 12 teams. Like these games have been pretty decent. You start with, of course, Oregon drops James Madison. Let's see.
Give James Madison their due. They did put up 30-something points. They gave up 50-something points on the other end. But for them to, I didn't see them scoring 30-plus points. So, you got to give them a little bit of love on that.
The fact that Oregon needed 51 to beat them was pretty amazing. Ole Miss got the win without Lane Kiffin.
Who still got $500,000 for their win.
Oh my God!
As
he set that team up to win.
Coach their current players during all of this. Like they just let them have their glory right now for a second. Just let these kids be in the spotlight. You can do whatever you're gonna do afterwards.
Miami drops Texas A&M 10-3 in a defensive battle.
It was crazy.
And then Alabama drops Oklahoma 34-24 out in what they were in Soonerville. So those all took place in December of last. Oh no, wait a minute. How are these the right results?
You're in one of the earlier rounds.
No. Yeah, I went to round 1. Okay, so the quarterfinals saw Miami drop Ohio State 24-10.
Yes.
Good
job, Miami.
Saw Oregon blank Texas Tech like they weren't there, 23-0. Indiana. Fucking Anna. Hold on. I'm gonna stop. I'm gonna say it one more time for you. The Indiana Hoosiers dropped the Alabama Crimson Tide 38 to Trey. Trey. And then finally, Ole Miss pulled it back against a good Georgia squad to advance to the Final Four with Georgia by beating Georgia. Oh my God!
That was a good ass game, though.
Yeah, it was.
Yeah,
that was a good ass game.
Not only have we had the defending champs knocked off, it looks like the SEC dominance of the college football playoffs is over for now.
Yeah, because yes, there is technically still an SEC team left, but they're like the SEC's like redheaded stepchild. So, like, I mean, how long has it been since Ole Miss was legitimately relevant, like, to this level? And I think we just saw the end of an era with Bama. And I think we're just going to get more and more into this the more and more we're into the NIL and the transfer portal and all of that stuff.
I will say it like this. I heard it best said on First Take earlier this week when they were talking about a woman that is an Indiana grad was saying it as she was hosting the show. She said it's not necessarily that the SEC's reign is over. The SEC will still be good. The SEC will still send 2-3 teams to the college playoff every year and have 2-3 dips at the pot. What we're done seeing is the dominance of the SEC being the only place, because with the advantage, as O'Malley mentioned, with the with things like the transfer portal and things like NIL being introduced into the league, you see a place where now those players that were kind of like compacted into the southeastern region, because the southeastern region in general produces a lot of good football players. They were all going to SEC schools, so it made the SEC seem like this powerhouse. But now those cats are traveling to Indiana, are traveling to San Jose State, are traveling to like Miami. Like they're going places where it's making other teams good. And
everywhere else but the Pac-2.
Hard to do anything when it's Oregon State and Washington State. I'm just saying.
Yeah. Well, they're adding some schools next year. They're adding some schools in 2026. So, Swab, your thoughts on the college football playoffs so far and what we're seeing?
Honestly, they've been great. Indiana showed that they're for real. Not only did they have a defensive battle against Ohio State to get their ranking as number 1 in the nation, they followed it up by beating Alabama and beat them handily. Now, this isn't the powerhouse Alabama we have been used to in the Nick Saban years, but still a very good Alabama team, all things considered, a very talented Alabama team. So to see Indiana literally stop them from being able to do everything they wanted to do on both sides of the ball was something you haven't really seen in over a decade. We've seen Alabama lose, we've seen them get crushed a couple times here and there, but this was about as thorough a stomping as I've ever seen for Bama after they had the renaissance of being good. Special shout out to Miami. Miami's playing real good ball. I was very happy to see Ohio State lose. I've never really been an Ohio State fan. I've rooted for some of their players on occasion. I can't, say that I've hated their guts completely, but I'm very happy that they were sent home. Sorry, Buckeyes. And then I still want to give a shout out to James Madison. James Madison got a lot of heat about being that 12th team that got in over teams like Notre Dame, etc. And honestly, for James Madison to go out there and score 30 plus points against this Oregon team that shut out Texas or Texas Tech, I mean, that shows it right there that they actually really did deserve to get in there. Oregon game planned well and basically won a high-powered shootout. So Oregon, Indiana, Miami, and Ole Miss, I think it sets up for a great set of games leading up to the championship game. And I still think that the NCAA for football really needs to consider going to a 24-team playoff that takes an entire month to get through and literally make, it won't be March Madness because that's already done, but you could do January Madness or December Madness, or, you could figure it out. There's a tagline, a byline, or a nice nickname out there somewhere for it, but give us a month of solid football, add in more of the lower tier bowl games, forget the home team getting a bowl game and all that, all of it neutral site, and, let them make their money too. 24 teams, I think, is the go-to. Let the 25th team and 26th team in the NCAA cry that they didn't get in, which will be new footing for all of us, considering now we've had teams at 13 and 14 crying, and it used to be teams 3 and 4 used to cry. So I think we're ready. The 12-team playoff is good. I think 24 is the sweet spot. I don't think it's 16. You do a top 25 for a reason. Use the top 25, put 24 teams in there. And if you're feeling frisky, do a playoff game between 25 and 26 to see who the 24th team is or something like that. I'm not mad about that either. But
The
for this
basketball,
playoffs.
the NBA play-in kind of thing.
Yeah, or what they did for NCAA March Madness. You know, you got those playing teams that get that 16th spot. You know, so I'm not mad at it. But Indiana, Oregon, Miami, and Ole Miss are setting up to have a very entertaining playoffs.
So, O'Malley, I will say this: like I do believe that is where we're at. Before we know it, we've already went from 4 to 12. So I believe that we will be making that jump from 12 to 24. I believe that the end goal is to get to 24. I just think they're trying to figure out how to slow roll it so they can milk this 12 and potentially 16 before we finally get to 24, and they can milk it for as much money as they can.
It's like how schools tend to know 3 to 4 years in advance who they're going to be playing in a given year. So I mean, it makes sense.
I'll say it like this too. Exclusivity does breed value in certain things. Meaning, if something is more rare, it will have a tendency to be more valuable. So the less teams that can get, I think, because like to me, I love March Madness, but I'll be honest with you. For the past few years, outside of checking out highlights, I don't really pay attention before the Elite Eight because there's 70 something teams that make it now out of 100 teams. Like, you're well over even the halfway threshold. You're like 60% of the colleges that exist get into March Madness. And so it's like, I don't want college football to get there. 24 is where we can stop and keep it at 24. We don't need to go to 48 or 36 or whatever like that. We can keep it at 24. And I think that will make college football beautiful. Not to mention the fact it'll give a lot of teams a chance to be exposed to the national spotlight.
A lot of Cinderellas,
James Madison's, etc. That wouldn't normally get that rub. They'd be in some off bowl game that took place like the day before Christmas Day at 5 o'clock on Tuesday. But yeah, so that I agree with y'all completely there. Like this year's playoff is about to be wonderful. O'Malley, any final thoughts on the college football playoff?
I'm happy with what it looks like this year. I've been saying Indiana. I think for a while they're gonna take this all the way, and I think just showing what they did to Alabama. I mean, that 3 points, three points,
not even 350, just
3,
and almost hung the 40 on them.
Right. So I'm just happy to see just, the outcome of that one. That was it. It's nice to see Bama on the other side of that ass spanking for once. So, for far too long, it's been the same teams over and over and over again. And it's been getting old and tired, and we're ready for some new shit. And I think that this is the changing of the guard right here. So I'm here for it.
Hopefully.
I love it.
Hopefully Bama doesn't go on some miraculous run next year and bring it back to our buzz for a year.
I mean, it's going to happen. The top teams are going to get their shots, just like Ohio State got it last year. They're by no means out of it. Nothing's getting dismantled or destroyed because they coughed it up this postseason. But make no bones about it. I mean, because of the NIL and the transfer portal, we're going to see more Indiana teams. We're going to see other teams that used to be good. We're going to see Ole Misses come back into it. So, I mean, the NIL and the transfer portal are great for NCAA football because of what can happen to those top 12 and hopefully soon to be top 24 teams.
Yeah.
Amen. All right, y'all. So that is going to wrap it up for us for this week. As usual, whenever all three of us are here, it's an amazing show. And it was again today. We now have 2 closing statements from the prosecutor and the defense. So we have Miss O'Malley closing us out as usual with
fuck LeBron. Did just all the way off. Bye. Yeah.
And then we now have Mr. Suave with
Spurs didn't deserve Wemby. They never should have got his ass. It's a conspiracy till I die. They deserve to be hot trash.
There you go, guys. There you go. It ain't a classroom. It ain't a classroom.
Fuck
if you don't
LeBron and
end
the
with
Spurs
A.
didn't deserve Wemby. It's a conspiracy.
And everybody loves Mendoza. I'm rooting for Indiana all the way. I can't say nothing else.
Yes,
And
but
freak his
please,
fall.
because everybody is rooting for Mendoza, and I do not want to see this kid go wrong in the NFL. I am hoping that this is one of the areas
die
where
a Raider. He gonna die a Raider. Let's just call a spade a spade. He gonna die a Raider. We were looking it up. He's only a redshirt junior, but it said his eligibility's done. He's about to be a Las Vegas Raider.
Oh, that poor guy.
I feel sorry for him because I don't think he's generational, but I do think he can be a good quarterback if it wasn't on this team.
Yeah.
Fair enough.
Although I do want to give a caveat. They have drafted well. I did like last year's draft. I like some of those players. The youngsters were looking okay, even though the team as a whole was hot trash because they got the first pick. But I'm curious to see what Mendoza does. I mean, he's not going to play next year because it's Geno Smith, and then they're going to salt and pepper him throughout the season and let him get some seasoning. But I like the kid. I just, it always sucks when you see somebody go to a suck-ass franchise.
Right. Like the Raiders or Cleveland or one of those teams. Yeah.
So hold on 1 second. A quick message to Max Crosby. If you're getting tired of things over there.
Oh, God.
We've been looking for somebody to be opposite of Nick Bosa over here in Santa Clara. So you're more than welcome. You got some nice houses for you in San Francisco.
That would be some dumb shit. That would be some dumbass shit that Mark Davis would do too.
I'll be honest. That's exactly what he's going to do. He's going to trade Max Crosby, get a couple of firsts, maybe a couple seconds, but he's going to go to a contender and help push them over the top. Watch.
Oh man. Oh, like I said,
that was funny though. I gotta give you credit. Full on shot, just like Max Crosby.
That'll do it for us this week here on the Classroom, y'all. Stay real, stay up. Peace. Oh man.